A man's capacity to love is a mystery because of these nine, am I doing that right? 9 things. And we're going to dive into this today. So there are many experts and wannabe experts out in the dating realm offering dating and relationship advice. And what occurs to me, folks, it's all crap. It's all junk. My own stuff included to some degree. There are many variables to love that I'm about to share with you that oftentimes gets parsed a little bit here or there, but it's not the full picture. And we're going to dive into the full picture today. And while I can appreciate the advice of Dr. Helen Fisher and John Gray and the Gottmans and even Esther Perel, and the list goes on, the dating marketplace is so radically unclear on so many different levels that a lot of this advice out there from high level of professionals doesn't get really granular to the actual dating process because of what I'm about to share. And there oftentimes some people are just peddling advice to sell you on some type of program that will convince you that you will get the guy of your dreams or you'll get the woman of your dreams if you do these things in this exact way. What I'm about to share with you, though, will make sense, and I suspect you've never heard it like this before, particularly when it comes to love, because to some degree, love is an intangible. It is a mystery. And so these factors that I'm about to share with you in just a moment will make a lot of sense. Now, I'm sure you've heard men find love through sex, and maybe you've heard women give or seek love and, men find love through sex and women seek love and give sex. I think I'm not exactly sure, but if you think about it, men are oftentimes not really on the hunt for a relationship and actually on the hunt for love. I remember once being on a first date with a woman. I said, "What are you looking for?" And she says, "I'm looking to fall in love and be in a relationship." And what's interesting is I've never really heard a man say, or maybe you can correct me if you've experienced this, but the first words out of his mouth was, "I want to fall in love." I just don't think men operate that way. We oftentimes chase sex hoping for love. And these factors play in our capacity to love another human being. And we're going to dive into this right now. So the first factor that we have to consider is our biology, our gender. Male or female. It's binary in that way. And I know this isn't about what you identify. I'm talking about your biology in this particular case. And there are differences between boys and girls, men and women. Testosterone level, pheromones, hormones, estrogen, dopamine, serotonin, and all these factors play in the makeup of who we are. And there are differences between men and women. And a lot of dating advice is centered around this. John Gray's dating advice is all centered around testosterone, giving you an estrogen as the primary differences between men and women. But certainly instinctual is the second component that plays in this. What our instincts are, what we were from hundreds of thousands of years, the differences between men and women from that instinctual gender-based difference. Men are hunters, they're providers, they're protectors. Women are nurturers. That certainly plays a factor in our capacity to love. There's no doubt about it. And then there's number 3, our socialization. Boys and girls are raised radically different. Well, not radically different, but certainly if you're a baby boomer Gen Xer like myself, there was some vast differences for the way we were raised from a socialization. Boys played with tanks and fire engines and girls played with dolls. That's certainly changing in today's dynamic, but certainly for those of us in midlife, which is the predominant audience that I speak to. And I say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement. So roughly most of my audience is between 42 or 69, tail end baby boomers, Gen Xers. Okay. But socialization certainly plays a factor in our capacity to mate with another human being. And there's a lot of conversation centered around that, certainly traditional conversations centered around that, based on how things were done 50, 100, if not hundreds of years ago. That plays a factor in our capacity to really bond and connect with another person. Certainly, our culture, our religious difference, religion plays a factor, a significant factor. There's a big difference between many cultures. I have a friend who she's Asian, and she talks about the unique challenges in dating and relationships for Asians versus those from South American countries versus those from European countries. And I was even having a conversation with a woman from Africa, and she was sharing with me the unique primal kind of rituals that occurred where she grew up and lived. And it was very, I mean, not as sophisticated as here in the United States. And there's still, to this day, in the 2000s, a very tribal and ritualistic way of mating at this stage of humanity, if you will. So all of these factors play into it: our biology, our instinct, our socialization, our culture, and religion. Certainly, religion can play a significant factor in our capacity to mate and bond and connect and commit and love another human being. All of these factors play into this role. Now, where things start to get even more interesting is our socioeconomic and our education can play a significant role in whom we actually choose to be, whom we choose to maybe love, whom we choose to be in a relationship with. Certainly, those of higher status oftentimes choose people of a higher status or an education. I know so many women who have claimed to me they won't date someone who doesn't have a college education. And certainly that can play a factor. And it's kind of interesting how, in this particular capacity, now women tend to want to date up in their socioeconomic and education status. I once had a friend said, well, that must mean that men must date down. And I thought about that. That's kind of an interesting thought from a socioeconomic education status, that women want to date up and men oftentimes will, that must mean that the man is dating down to choose that woman. I just thought that was an interesting observation from a socioeconomic perspective. Another factor that plays in our capacity to love and connect with another human being is certainly our physical health and our appearance. This is a prime, I was watching a YouTube video. I believe it was Brent Weinstein, I believe, talking about how beauty and attractiveness is considered to be much higher value in the mating process when someone is physically attractive, when they're physically fit, when they're beautiful, when they're handsome. We value that person substantially greater. Isn't that kind of fascinating that we actually will place a higher value to that person based on physical appearance? The more attractive a person is, the more value we place on that person. Isn't that fascinating? And I just don't mean from the biological perspective for a man, just being, someone that he's more attracted to. We might feel the capacity to get a hard on, if you will. I'm talking about that we place a value. Isn't that kind of fascinating and sad at the same time? Because to some degree, all of us want to be valued based on who we are on the inside. And yet, from a socialization perspective, we value physical health and appearance at a much higher percentage, if you will. I don't know how to quantify that exactly, but at a higher value, because someone is more physically attractive or physically healthy. Now, the next three things what I'm about to share with you is so radically important to understand a man or woman's capacity to love another human being that this puts a monkey wrench to all of the conversations we just talked about from those people like Helen Fisher, John Gray, the Gottmans, Esther Perel, and the list goes on, and any of the dating coaches, because they oftentimes talk about those six things I just shared with you, but rarely are they getting into the nitty gritty about what I'm about to share with you. These next three things are so critically important that if you're watching this video, I suggest you put it on pause, get a pen and paper out, and start taking notes. Because if you're not taking notes with what I'm about to share with you, you're going to this will slip by you just like trying to remember a dream. So I want you to really sit with me now for a second. Okay, the seventh factor that plays in our capacity to love another human being is our imprinting. And particularly what I'm talking about is our childhood wounds and traumas and our love attachment style and imago. Bump, 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 bump. Our childhood wounds, our attachment style, and our imago. I'm going to refer to you three books right now. I'm going to pull them out. Childhood wounds. If you're not familiar with the work of the Hoffman process, every book I recommend right now is listed below in the show notes under Jonathan Recommend Books. I highly recommend reading this book to understand how we've all been imprinted from our childhood with certain traumas and wounds. Some of them are significantly to some degree horrific for some. And then there's garden variety childhood wounds and traumas that we've all experienced. Being bullied in school could be one. Dealing with social anxiety with school. Certainly having parents going through a divorce can be an emotionally traumatic event. Just to name a few, it doesn't have to be horrific abuse someone might have experienced in childhood. Every child has experienced a wound or trauma to some degree. Some of them are micro traumas. And when you add up all these micro traumas, it deeply affects their capacity to be in a romantic relationship, to bond and actually love another human being. And within that imprinting, I talked about love attachment style. And if you're not familiar with the book Attached by Amira Levine and Rachel Heller, I highly recommend reading these books and get your hand on as many books on attachment style. Particularly if you're a woman with an anxious attachment style, you're going to want to study avoidant attachment style. Oftentimes, men tend to be more avoidant, women tend to be more anxious, but that isn't an absolute. It just tends to be a little bit swayed, a little bit more one way. And many of you have experienced avoidant men. These are men that are oftentimes emotionally unavailable, emotionally constipated. What was the emotionally catastrophic? What was the term I heard the other day? Now I'm going to have to call that person and ask them. Avoidance are people that oftentimes struggle fully committing to a relationship. They fully embrace the emotional side of a relationship. And if you've ever heard of the imago, I'd highly recommend reading the book Getting the Love You Want by Harvell Hendrix and Helen Hunt. The reason why is we oftentimes choose people that are like one or both of our parents. Have any of you ladies, have you ever been with an emotionally unavailable man and it's very similar to your father? Well, you might find that this is because of something known as the imago, which you'll learn about in the book Getting the Love You Want by Harvell Hendrix, Helen Hunt. This is all part of our imprinting, what we were raised with by our parents. And when we understand this, we oftentimes aren't choosing love from a secure place. We're choosing it from an insecure place. And it's so important to understand these factors when choosing somebody whom you're going to give your heart to, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, number 8, and this is so major what I'm about to share with you, is our age and our life experiences, our age and our life experience. See, 20 and 30-year-olds are kind of like a blank sheet of paper out of the gate. I mean, all they have is their garden variety traumas. to deal with. For those of us in midlife, the vast majority of us are divorced. Roughly 75% of singles over 45 years old who are in the dating marketplace are divorced. And then certainly you have the widowers and never married people in that group. And divorce is an adult trauma, or those of you that have had a relationship, a treasured relationship, and that's a significant trauma that oftentimes goes unaddressed in the dating marketplace. And it's one of the reasons why so few people actually have the capacity to fall in love, because they haven't healed these wounds of divorce, or maybe they had job loss, or maybe they've got issues with their children. All of this we call baggage, and that plays, the older we are, the more luggage, the more baggage that plays in our capacity to love another human being. And number nine, okay? You know what? If you're not listening, this is the part you better write down, because this plays such a huge role in a man or woman's capacity to love another human being, and that is their motive for being in the dating marketplace. What is their motive? Do they have a short-term mating strategy or a long-term mating strategy? Because here's the challenge in midlife. A significant percentage of people aren't seeking serious commitment. They have a short-term mating strategy. Remember I said earlier, men hope to find love through sex? That's a very short-sighted strategy, because they're not actually looking to fall in love. They're looking to get laid. They're only looking for possibly companionship or connection. If you're not familiar with my chart of the 3 people actively dating, types of people actively dating today, by the way, this is not a fact. It's merely an opinion. But 20% are what I call users. They have short-term strategy. They only care about themselves. They're the love bombers, the players, the gold diggers, the entitled people. And then while over here I say the grower builders represents 20%, they seek long-term commitment, emotionally grown up, good relationship skills, have their act together. The vast majority of humans are what I call spenders. And the reason why they call spenders is they'll spend time with you, but they're not committed to commitment. They want companionship, they want connection, they want sex, but no direction. Uncertain, fearful, usually have a dysfunctional life. They spend time with you because their motive is based on a short-term strategy. But you know what? This title is A Man's Capacity to Love is a Mystery, based on these 9 things. Love isn't the same as commitment. Let me repeat that. Love is not the same as commitment. Care for another human being is not the same as commitment. See, this is the fantasy or the fallacy we live in, is the minute 2 people say, I love you to each other, there's this implied commitment that goes with it. But there's no commitment that goes with the word love. There's no guarantee. There's no intent. Because of these 9 factors that play a part in all of this: the biology, the instinct, the socialization, the cultural, religious, the socioeconomic, the physical health and appearance. But the imprinting, life experiences, and motives play it is so more radically important that all of that advice you hear about testosterone in the John Gray conversations, a man needs cave time, and when he has cave time, it's all going to work out wonderful in your relationship. But that doesn't play a factor in the dating process. We are talking about the initial dating process. They all play a part, but that capacity to love usually, I'm going to use the word fails, but doesn't happen because of our imprinting, our love attachment style, our childhood wounds, our traumas, or the fact that many of us have unhealed childhood wounds and adult traumas. Or we don't have a handle on our luggage in our lives. And certainly the mating strategy. And I know women tend to have a long-term desired strategy. But you see, nowadays, and this is going to piss some people off, is for men, there's no need to commit. There's no need to commit. Many men are just not committed to commitment because we can have short-lived experiences. And because of our devices, we can just go back online and find a replacement so easily the minute the relationship stops being fully committed. See, because the sad part about dating today, it's just about experiencing fun. It's not being committed to making it good. Can someone write that down? There isn't a commitment to make it good. There's just the desire for the fun. And ladies, you are just guilty of this as well, because by the way, when you want a man to climb to the highest room of the tallest tower, that's to feed the vanity, in my opinion. It might temporarily show that there's some worth. Or I said vanity, excuse me. Validation is what I meant. I transposed the V word I was thinking of in that moment. So when you think about this, and I know it's not exciting what I just shared with you, but if you're seeking a man who is capable of love, then let me just be clear. He better have a long-term motive. Not a short-term motive, a long-term motive. So when you hear a man say, I'm just looking for something casual, let's just take it easy, let's just play it by ear, let's just live in the moment, that's not a long-term strategy. Number two, he's healed his adult traumas. His life is in order. It's not in chaos. It's not uncertain. He didn't just end a relationship just 10 minutes ago, or she didn't end a relationship 10 minutes ago. And lastly, both men and women have addressed their childhood wounds and their love attachment style, because without it, the capacity to love from a healthy place won't exist. If there isn't some personal development, self-help, spiritual work, or therapy. If you're not familiar with my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work, highly recommend checking it out, because it's all about being in that space, in that capacity to love another human being when we actually nurture our own soul. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, in the show notes, there's a link to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, where you can have direct access to me. There's a link to get all the books I recommend, to follow me on Instagram, all listed in the show notes below. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question of me, there's a little chat box right there. Write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. It's my son. That's a picture of him right there. He's my son who passed away over 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. Hey, it's the holidays right now. I'd really appreciate some love. Let's try to get $100 tonight. If 25 of you donated $4, we would get to that goal. So I'd really appreciate some love for if I provided value for you tonight, donate $10, donate $20. I would love to give some money away to the scholarship fund. So thank you so much. And anyone who wants to join the hot seat, I'm going to post the link, or the love seat. I'm going to post the link. You can join me live and we can chat right now. Okay. Jerry says, this resonates with me. Purchased your book. Power G says, Jonathan, you look great in black. Irene says, love your videos. Appearance is linked to health. It's a side effect. Exactly. These are all factors that play in our capacity to love another human being. It's still the hot seat. Beach Lover says it's still the hot seat. Yes, it is. I have a propensity. So I want to share with you a post I did yesterday. Let me go to my Instagram page. So yesterday, if you're watching this today, it's the day after Christmas. I did a post yesterday for Christmas that I want to share with everybody. And I think this is a very important conversation for those of us who are single and seek connection with another human being. So this was on Christmas Day. I posted this. It said, if you're by yourself on Christmas, I can relate. In truth, I haven't really enjoyed Christmas since my divorce and when Connor, my son, passed away. Today, I'm alone. There's no work to distract me, no Christmas morning with children, and no one special to share eggnog with. I'm simply by myself. By the way, really quickly, when I say alone, I just mean there isn't another human being. I don't mean I'm not connected with my divinity or anything like that. I just simply mean by oneself. I've gotten rather down about this space in the past, as if something was wrong with me or my life. Many people can feel somewhat depressed, especially those not in a relationship during this time of year. And yet I'm beginning to see the real blessing of solitude in my life. Connor gave me a gift when he passed away. In this year since he transitioned, I committed myself and to him to love myself in every state of being and not to create false meaning from things that I don't have in my life. So what if I'm by myself today? It doesn't change who I am, nor is there anything wrong with me. Let me repeat that. So what if I'm by myself? So what if you're by yourself on the holidays? It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change who I am. And there is nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with me. Today is just a day, and there are 364 more in the year ahead. Some days I cry. Some days I laugh. Some days I dance. Some days I make a difference in others' lives. Some days I spend time with those I love. Each day is a blessing, even the ones by myself. And actually, I've begun to really love my own company. If today is a hard day for you, I send you a big hug. And please remember who you are on the inside. You are love. That was my post yesterday for Christmas. There is nothing wrong with being by yourself. There is nothing wrong if you're not in a relationship. By the way, there are people in relationship that are miserable. There are people out there in relationship that are miserable. Just remember, the most important relationship you're ever going to have in your life is the relationship you have with yourself. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. By the way, I just noticed that Rachel's in the house. Question, my boyfriend of 5 months wants me to drive to his mom's. He lives there now and makes me feel guilty when I want him to come to me. Yells and swears at me. He is in pain from his past failed relationships. I don't understand. Well, what is the question? I don't think what he's doing is, I mean, I'm not that there's a right or wrong, but I just don't think that's very fair for him to expect you to come to him. And then when you don't, you yell at him or he yells at you. That just doesn't seem right. And if he's in pain from a failed relationship, then he probably should work on his stuff. But what's your question? I'd like to know, Rachel. Why not join the love seat and we can talk about this live? All right, let's keep going here. Michelle says, this is one of the best podcasts you've ever done. Keep going. Okay, I'm doing my best. Thank you so much. Jane Spitfire says, yes, I'm alone, but too nervous to date. Give too much to past lovers. Well, then I would say work on healing that, and maybe you can shift that energy. Carrie says, I like how Jonathan says, when you are friends, stop giving him relationship benefits when you're not in relationship. You are in the friend zone. Yeah, I'm a big believer now. You know what? Until you're actually moving towards commitment and actually committed to making the relationship grow and be good, just don't have sex. Be friends with one another. Sex should be a part of a growing relationship in my mind. Joe Daisy says, Jonathan, it would be so incredible for you to host a Jonathan Love Cruise, a week-long love fest featuring your live shows and meet and greets. I would love it. I would love it. Thank you so much. RN Lynn says, I'm with someone now, but spent many past holidays alone. You can do what you want, eat when you want, enjoy the day. Not awful to be alone on the holidays. I'm in full agreement. By the way, I made myself a steak. I made myself a beautiful dinner. I watched 2 football games, and then I watched 3 movies, including It's a Wonderful Life. Question, there's someone here saying they're in danger. Can you help? I don't see that, beach lover. Please forgive me. All right, anyone who wants to join the love seat, just click the link right there. Let's see, here's another one. Cara says, tips on dating profiles for Hinge, jumping in after the new year. Yes, quality photographs generate quality results, and write a short but brief description of what you desire in a relationship. I'll read you my profile, okay? I'll read you my Bumble profile. How about that? So there's 3 sections to the Bumble profile, Cara. Let me read you mine. So it starts off bio, and mind you, it's very short, you know. It's very short. So it says, for the past 6 years, I've been on a deep exploration to find out who I am beyond fear and ego after my 19-year-old son passed away. A journey of self-love, seeking a marriage-minded empty nester who wants to explore the depths of love. That's the bio piece. Then it says, what I'm looking for: marriage, generosity, humor, and gratitude. My interests are deep chats, making videos, sci-fi, self-awareness, and mindfulness. Swipe right if personal development, spiritual practices are essential to you, including ayahuasca journeys to explore deeper consciousness and expansion to the divine. Then I go, a non-negotiable. I hope you love to laugh because I have a wicked sense of humor, at least warped. Since I live at the beach, I hope you like sun and riding bikes. Lastly, a pro and con of dating me. Pro, high emotional IQ and good relationship skills. Con, I like to process everything. Okay, this is just my perception. You folks might think differently, but that's what I think of myself. Okay. Okay, so I hope that helps you, Cara. Quality photo. Oh, I'll just show you my photographs so you get a sense of the photographs that I have. So that's photograph number 1, a quality photograph. Number 2, you can see a quality, let's see. Just, I know it's a little blurry, but it's a quality photograph. Number 3, quality photograph of just myself. Number 4, a picture of the books I read. You can see it. Okay. A full body shot. Always include a full body shot, and then a fun, playful photograph, photograph. That would be my suggestion: quality photographs and a good, well-written essay. Okay, Cara, hope that helps. Let's keep going here. RN Lynn says, great smile. Jane says, Jonathan, oh my God, you read books. I love it. Actually, I mostly listen to books. I don't actually read them. I go on Audibles and I buy books that way. Joe Daisy says, Jonathan, you're naturally photogenic. No, I'm not. I learned the secret to being photogenic, and that is to chuckle when the photographer is taking a picture. Chuckle when the That's the secret. The camera catches the energy. That's the secret. I learned that from a actual New York supermodel. Tiddlywink says, Jonathan, on ayahuasca got to be wild as fuck. Yeah, I would say. No, I'm not. I mean, actually, I prefer to do psilocybin than I do ayahuasca, and certainly MDMA and some other modalities as well. So anyway, but yeah, I'd like to think I'm pretty fun when I'm on a journey. Jane says, I was told cannot find a man who likes to read. I disagree. I know, by the way, all my friends are readers. I mean, all my circle of friends, we share books with one another. My son reads. There are plenty of men who read. So just know. Marianne says, I love you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. By the way, how about a donation to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund? If you found value in what I shared, $10, $15, $20, I would appreciate some love today. I'd love to give some money before the end of the year. I'd appreciate that. And anyone who wants to join the love seat right there. C. Tahoe says, men who read want to learn are turn-ons. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Let's see what else. I'm trying to, do you have a question? By the way, this is going to be a short video. Okay. Let's see. John Power of Chi says, Jonathan, funny date profile story. Years ago, I saw a date profile where a man's profile picture was of the back of his head. Oh my God, I've seen terrible profile pictures. I think that's just stupid. I said it. I just think it's stupid to waste real estate, just showing the back of your head. I don't care what that says about your personality. It just lacks class, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, Power of Chi. Jess says, I once did ceremonial mushrooms. It was okay. Not as eye-opening or mind-clearing as I expected. Possibly not the right ceremony. Lori says, happy holidays to you, Jonathan, from Australia. I'm so happy to have someone from Australia in the house. By the way, if you don't have questions, we're going to be cutting out early. So I need some questions. I need some fodder to feed off of. What do you got for me? Was there anything in my conversation that resonated with you? Was there anything in this conversation that resonated with you? Please let me know. Was there something you'd like some clarity on these 9 things based on biology, instinct, socialization? Was there anything you want clarity on that? Because we're going to wrap up in a few seconds and I want to keep going. I need some conversation. Carrie says, I never heard such a thing in my life. Okay. Folks, stop having have a conversation with me. I need you to post things. I need some fodder here. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up early. Okay. Well, you guys aren't very exciting tonight. I need some fodder. I need some, post something, post a comment. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up early. Sad. I'd like to keep. Oh, here we go. Finally. All right. Now we have a few questions. I hate seeing profile pictures of men laying in bed, especially while shirtless. Why do men do that? For the same reason why women have shitty profile pictures. They're just stupid human beings. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about it. If you don't have enough awareness to recognize that this is a portal for actual, by the way, online dating is an amazing tool to connect with people. But you know what why men do that? Because they think somehow that's going to turn you on. These men are stupid and clueless, and women are just as stupid and clueless with those Snapchat filter crap. Or that faraway photograph where you're touching the Eiffel Tower. It's so magical that you're touching the Eiffel Tower. I'm sorry. Quality photographs, quality essay generates quality results. Okay, there, I said it. Okay. Marianne Guest says, I turned down Andy Garcia in New York City years ago. My sister yanked me away. I still tease her about that. I turned down Calvin Klein years ago when he did a promo on his first perfume. That's cool. Joy is in the house. Jonathan, for those of us who don't do financial transactions online, can you provide a link to an address to send the contributions? Go to my website, write my support staff for my personal email address. Mention this, and I will then give you my personal email address. Go to my website, jonathanasley.com and go to the contact, and my assistant will send it to you. Thank you so much, Joy. I appreciate it. Gigi's in the house. Question: is trauma associated with divorce intensely depending on the cause of divorce? Absolutely. The cause could directly affect your emotional well-being. There's no doubt about it. Betrayal probably being one of the most traumatic experiences. Betrayal. I had one woman tell me her husband was a cross-dresser and found out he was gay. That's another thing that can be that could affect one's emotional well-being. I know it wasn't something done to her, but that directly affected her. So yeah, trauma is, trauma associated can intensely depend on the cause of divorce. Yes. Question: is trauma associated with with divorce intensified depending on? Yes, I would agree. Joe Daisy says, Jonathan, we could also do the shrooms on the Love Boat. I love that. I love that. Maureen says, could you spend a little more time on imprinting? What I mean is what we experience in our childhood imprints on us. All of the little things that happen in the first 12 years of our lives directly affects how we operate as adults, hence why I call it imprinting. It's what our initial programming that happens in childhood. As our adult lives, we have a little bit more control, but as children, we have less control of our environment, so it is imprinted on us, like our attachment style, like our relation, like any. By the way, whenever a parent says no to a child, that has an imprint on them. So just those are some of the factors I meant. Kay says, what to do with an ED man? I think erectile dysfunction. Be understanding and compassionate. That's what I would do. Men still can have an orgasm with ED on oral sex. Men can still give oral sex to a woman. There can still be plenty of pleasure, and they can certainly take medications. They can take a blue pill. They can even get an injection in their penis to give them a hard on. So that is possible. Carrie is in the house. How do you handle when you're not ready to kiss a guy yet? New Year's Eve is coming. Don't put your face near him. Well, if you're just... I'd be curious to know why you're not ready. Like, what is happening for you that you don't feel ready? I think when two people... Like, I was watching It's a Wonderful Life last night, and there's a scene where George Bailey goes and calls upon Mary, and in that scene, he's very intense with her, and their face was close together, and then they locked lips and they were kissing one another because they had chemistry for one another. If you're not ready, I'd be curious to know, Carrie, why you're not ready. I'm just curious to know why you're not ready. How do you handle it, though? If a woman said, I'm not ready to kiss you, it'd probably be a joke. It depends on how long we've been dating. Like, in other words, a man should know how to read the room as well. But if you two have spent a fair amount of time together, it's kind of natural to reach that level of intimacy to kiss. So I would be curious to know if there's any chemistry between. There's a lot of little factors, but as far as I want to know the why, so I could give you a better understanding of how to answer that. Cynthia's in the house. Did you get any invitation from friends on Christmas Day? I did get lots of invitations, but I actually wanted to spend the day by myself. Because the night before I went out for Christmas Eve with my son to a friend's party the night before. Here's a picture of that. That was with me and my son for Christmas. So we did go out. Sorry, it's a clear photograph. It's just the camera doesn't capture it there. So I did go out the night before, but I was happy being home by myself. Oh, by the way, for New Year's, I've got a meme for you guys for New Year's. Hold on a second. This is my New Year's meme. I still don't know what I'm wearing to the living room on New Year's Eve. I might not even go. I still don't know what I'm wearing to the living room on New Year's Eve. I might not even go. Did you get what you wanted for Christmas? I had 3 days earlier. I had a lovely surprise on 3 days earlier. It was a very unique present. So yes, I did get what I want. Lindy wants to know, why does a man show his car in his profile instead of a picture of himself? To demonstrate socioeconomic wealth. He wants to try to impress you by suggesting he has resources, because women are naturally drawn to the man with the bigger cave from a biological perspective. So for that reason, that's why he does it, because he thinks that's going to impress you. See, do you also do crosswords, Jonathan? But I don't, but the only guy I know that reads loves crosswords. I don't even see a link. Okay. By the way, where to donate? There's a little $ in the chat box. That's how you donate. I don't do crossword puzzles, but I do Wordscape. I do Wordscape. Michelle says, Jonathan, how do you know a man is looking for a long-term relationship? How do he wants commitment? Again, I teach this in my private coaching to teach you how to pick better men. There's links below to schedule a discovery call for me. This is all things that I actually teach at a very granular, personalized level. So these aren't things that I can generalize. We have to personalize it just for you, Michelle. So schedule a discovery call with me, and we can talk about that in more detail. Power Chi says, will you do a session or course on how to take great dating profile pictures, including how to find a great photographer? By the way, you can go on YouTube right now, how to take great profile pictures, and you can go to Groupon on how to find a photographer for a very inexpensive price. So just remember, you can Google how to take great dating profile pictures. You can go to Google or you can go to YouTube, and how to find a great photographer. Go to Groupon. You can get a great deal. Jess is back in the house. I was in a situation with a dude that has 2 baby mamas that he no longer has a good relationship with, toxic. Could that be why he didn't want to begin something healthy and serious? Doesn't sound like he has a good track record. So if he doesn't have a good track record, I can't imagine what he's done to heal so he can actually be in a space to have a healthy relationship. Doesn't sound like he has a good track record. So what has he done to heal? That would be the question. Bella's in the house. Oh, I was watching Twilight. Bella. I'm in a relationship with a 3-year widower. He's a good man and definitely puts his adult children as a priority. After 3 months together, he did not invite me for a Christmas party. Too early to feel sad? Is the penis going inside the vagina? If the penis is going inside the vagina, I think, folks, you should be spending time getting to know the life of a person. If the penis goes inside the vagina, you should be getting to know the life of a person. 3 months is certainly enough time. And his children are part of his life. It sounds like not enough trust was built. Here's the thing. It's fascinating. The penis will go inside the vagina, but there's not enough trust to invite you to meet his children. I just want you to think about that for a second. I've never heard of this, penis sleeves. Hey, Google, what is a penis sleeve?
According to Masterclass, a penis sleeve is a penile support device that enables a person with erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation to increase their enjoyment of penetrative sex.
Wow, never heard of that. I'll have to look into it. I've never needed it, I guess, is the reason why. What Power of Cheese says, if you want to avoid kissing, eat a lot of garlic. Yeah, I would say that's a good idea. Marianne has a personal question. What is your New Year's resolution? What do you want to work on next? What are your hopes for the new year? Every day is New Year for me. So every day I work on something new. So I don't wait for one day to make a New Year's resolution. I haven't done that in 20 years. I work on something new every day. What am I working on now? You know, I'm still working on the fear of death. I mean, I think every fear relates to the fear of death. So that's something I work on every day as part of my perception around this reality that we call life. I'm working on what happens after we pass away. That's what I work on anyway. And really, it's mostly fear. Overcoming fear is what I work on. Jonathan, where would your ideal location be if the love cruise came to fruition? San Pedro, Port of Los Angeles, probably. That's because I live there. Oh, I want to give CT Tahoe, thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate the love. By the way, Power of Chi says 3 months isn't enough time. By the way, I thought she said he'd been widowed for 3 years, if I understood. By the way, the Golden Bachelorette, who was both the Golden Bachelorette who chose a bachelor who was widowed, they met their children right away. Just saying. So it was part of the decision-making process before they had sex. They had to meet the children. Just saying. Lindy says, question, are you upset that you haven't met your soulmate yet? No, I'm not upset. I've had great, wonderful women in my life, wonderful experiences. I'm not hung up on that. I know I come back and do this over and over and over again. So I'm not worried about when it's going to happen. I'm not upset at all. And I have wonderful people in my life, and I've made so many amazing female friends along the way. So no. All right. Are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle? He's good at fear of death. Actually, I prefer Ram Dass perceptions around death versus Eckhart Tolle is just too slow for me. That's just how I feel about him. Suzanne said, why would an ex-boyfriend reach out through email, then a phone call, then a hike, and end up ghosting? Whatever fantasy he created in his head about you didn't come to fruition when he went for the hike with you. Whatever fantasy he created in his head about you didn't come to fruition after the hike with you. That's probably why. Rosa said, you want to overcome fear? There's only one way. Know the word of God, read your Bible, having faith you cannot lose. Thank you so much for that. I believe in my divinity, so I would say that there's elements of what you say that relates exactly. But I know even people who read the Bible still have fear. Stacy Wood says, Baba Ram Dass, death, it's like taking off a tight shoe. Exactly. By the way, coming back to, I believe my spiritual belief is centered around, I believe that there's a divinity within myself, and my divinity is connected to everybody else's divinity. I call it God, universe, or spirit. God, universe, or spirit. That's the way I view things. It's not necessarily a Christian way. It's not a Catholic way. It's not a Jewish way. It's not a Muslim way. This is what I call spiritual but not religious way. That's the way I observe. And I do believe in trusting in the divinity of myself that is connected to everyone else's divinity. That's just the way I've observed it. So thank you so much. Marianne says, fear, stay off TIP of Burj in Dubai. Okay. Is that a tall building in there? Joe Daisy, it looks like agrees with my perception on spirituality and so forth. Hey, you know what? We're coming up on the hour. Did you find value in our conversation today? A man's capacity to love is a mystery because of these things. If it did, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. Also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow me on Instagram to get all the books I recommend, to get my dating vows, all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm asking you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Rosa and Beach Lover and Power of Chi and Jane Spitfire and Cara and Marianne and Carrie and Barbara and Matt. Hey, there's a guy in the house. Rachel, Stacy, Suzanne, Lindy, CT Tahoe, thank you for the donation. We really appreciate it. Anyone else want to donate before we wrap up? Bella, Joe Daisy already said that. Linda, everyone who joined, thank you so much. Wishing you all a wonderful, fabulous evening. Be well. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.